Hello everyone. So this is the next video in the series about serialization in Java. We have covered a lot about serialization, all these topics. All the links and source code are given in the description box. Go ahead and check out that. This video we are going to talk about the object construction while serialization and deserialization. This is very much important from the interview perspective as well as understanding how the object is created. At the time of serialization, you create the object, you have object, you write it into the stream and store it in a file or transfer over the network. But when you are recreating the object uh, out of the streams, out of the files, how does that behave, right? So this is the diagram that we have explained. So this is the object stream of bytes. We are converting it, we are storing it into a file, then again taking the file of stream and recreating the object. So this is serialization, and this step is deserialization, as you know for now this. So at this time, when we have constructor in the classes, does that triggered or not when you are recreating out of that stream? So there are different cases when you are implementing the serializable interface, when you are implementing the externalizable interface, when you have parent child relationship in a class that you are serializing and deserializing. In that many cases, how does that work, how does that trigger? So let's go ahead and quickly jump to the program and see this. So here is our programs that we have explained so far. So this is the employee constructor that we have. So to know whether constructor is called or not, I'm just going to introduce no or constructor here, and I'll print out something here so that I know that it is trigger or not. So this is the normal single class that I'm going to serialize, right? And we will see if it is working properly or not, right? So we have this single class demo where I have created the object here. First time it is going to get called while serialization, but main point will come when we are deserializing it here, right here, right? So go ahead and just execute it. So serialization and deserialization, both things are going on in the same file, right? So because we are just interested into the constructor call, not going to execute it separately. Yes. So first time employee constructor called when you created the object, but deserializing, it directly took the data from the stream and recreated the object, so constructor is not called in this case. Coming to the next case, which is when you have inheritance relationship. All right. So for now, close all of this and open this folder where we have government employee, one employee, which is taking care of this, which is extending this employee, right? And here is this one, this constructor, right? So let me introduce a constructor, alt insert constructor, no or constructor, right? So it has to call the super constructor. So I have written this, and in the parent class that is there here, right? So it is already printing, so we will know how many. So government employee is extending this one. Now we have address also, so add the constructor here also. Address constructor is called, right? So we are good to go, I think. So we have created government, and these three classes are in picture while serializing and deserializing. So we are going to serializable inheritance object and going to trigger this so that we can get the file of that. Yes, employee constructor is called, right? And government is this. So while we were creating the government employee, we called this constructor, right? So let me introduce here. So we will call this this way, right? So let me retrigger this. So both the constructors called while we were creating the object, and this is obvious. So main point is while deserializing, right? So let me trigger this. So how does that behave? So in this case also, it is not going to call the any constructor. It takes the data from the byte stream itself and recreates the object, right? For us, it is not calling the constructor. So it is very much important to understand, right? So it is this, right? So in the same way, it will we have, while we are doing the custom serialization and deserialization, write object and read object. Go ahead and try it out. Here is one more scenario where government employee is extending the employee. Now in this case, the parent class is not implementing the serializable interface, but child class is implementing that one, right? And we are serializing this government employee. So in this case, how it will behave, right? So how it will behave, right? Object construction, how it will go, right? So for now, let me remove this constructor altogether from here and try to serialize this one. So there are different permutation and combination that we should take care, right? So government, so this constructor that we created and actually employee is this, so area of expertise, and so all of this. And now coming to deserialization, deserialize emp, right? So all of this is created. So this is working properly, right? So there is no problem. And as we discussed for other cases, same case applies here also, right? So we can do that. So but the main important to notice here is the under e employee, which is employee is not implementing the serializable interface but the government employee. That is why we are getting the values, deserialized value for the government employee only, not the employee. See, it is giving us the default values, right? So default values, from where this is coming, this is coming from the default constructor, default no or constructor that it had. So if your parent class doesn't, if your parent class is not implementing the serializable interface, child class is implementing that. So your parent class must have a public default no or constructor. If it is not there, it is going to throw an exception. So to replicate that scenario, let me introduce a constructor which contains only one field, like this, right? So it is it has this field. And if coming to government employee, and let me, as per the rule of, though I have to pass some id here, not the id. So put some name I passed here, so that no point, main point is here I do not have the default constructor here, right? But the one default one, or so it is still throwing an exception. Why so? Yes, we have this default constructor also. Now here also I have to pass, so that is like this, right? So this is it. And now coming to serializable inheritance one, so everything is fine. So let me go ahead and serialize this. So try to understand this scenario, all right? So okay, so serialization, I have to pass some name, right? So not an issue, because this is the way, right? So I have to correct now everywhere that is there, right? So that wherever we are using, so that is compilation exception, not an issue. So serialization inheritance, now running this again. Yes, it has created the things. This is okay, this is fine for us, right? So main point comes here while deserializing. Yeah, now it is throwing invalid class exception. Government employee no valid constructor, right? So it is saying you that it doesn't have any valid constructor, right? While reading out this object. So that is because the parent class doesn't have any default constructor, right? So I have to introduce a default constructor right here, like this. Now I think we can go ahead and do this. Now it is working properly. The point here is how the parent class is getting the default values. It is coming out of the default constructor that that class have, so that must have. So when you apply the analogy and think logically, this very does it very much makes sense, right? So this is all about this video, guys. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends. It really encourages and motivates me to make more videos like this, right? So I'll see you in the next video with the next part, which is very much important, that is serial version UID, right? So during the process of serialization and deserialization, there is some time gap. So what if your class changes by that time? Some attributes are removed or some attributes are added. So does that affect the deserialization process? We will answer that question in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.